Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Heat Press for Profit podcast. We are live here with our last episode of 2023, and we are doing a Q&A and have some smiling faces on the screen for you to answer your questions. And we're also talking about the future of heat printing as a decoration technology as we anxiously await what should be a very successful 2024 for heat printing technology. So welcome, everybody, wherever you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram today. We're streaming live to a lot of places. We want your questions. So type them in. We have a group of experts on the line, and let's just go around the horn with a quick introduction. I'm Josh, I think, with Stalls. Jenna, you're next, kind of like to my right on the screen. So you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, you pretty much just did it, but that's okay. I'm Jenna.
Okay, that's good.
I'm Dave.
And you all
Happy
know
Friday.
Kelly, right? She's been holding it down for most of the year for us here on this podcast.
Hey guys.
All right, awesome. So keep the questions coming in. But as we get started here, I wanted to lead off with, I guess, what are you projecting for heat printing in 2024? What are some things that you would like to see accomplished with heat printing, or you think will be happening with heat printing, whether that's from a decoration trends perspective, the technology, how customers will use it differently? Who wants to lead us off and has a thought on what you're expecting and what customers should be watching out for?
I always
Okay,
go
go for it,
Jenna.
Dave.
I could always go. No, you go.
Jenna, make it happen.
All
Make
right.
it happen, Jenna.
So,
Let's
and
go.
it may be just because of the space that I've been in a lot within the past few months. And I think that customization and really personalization is coming more to the forefront in an experience perspective, right? So we talked a lot about this in my last podcast with Kelly. So if you guys want to learn more about activations, you absolutely can visit that episode. But I think that really creating unique experiences for out of like through heat printing, because it's so personalized and creates that experience for any attendee. I think that that's going to continue to grow because we're seeing a lot of advancements in technology that's going to allow like printing on site and print on demand more effective. So I really think that we're going to see some unique things happening there, and it's going to grow significantly in the new year.
And so more activations, more unique experiences powered by heat printing in person.
That was what I was gonna say with the heat print on demand. Is
I'm
just
glad I went first then.
Yeah. that same kind of lower the risk. The technology is there, and then couple that with some automation to be able to seamlessly integrate it into a lot of different solutions for decorators and e-commerce brands as well. And then I see kind of the growth of shop share moving to this heat printing department. If you haven't been over on the Stalls TV YouTube channel, we have a great video where we went to Duds by Dudes in San Diego. Brian Geffen has an absolutely outstanding print shop. But I've heard from so many decorators and shop owners who are moving more to the heat press department, really to defend the profitability of their automatic screen printing presses. So you see just the power of the heat press growing for so many decorators that it's like I could only see it continuing down this same trajectory as direct to film and screen printed transfers and even hybrid transfers have kind of really changed the landscape for a lot of these more commercial decorators who have been predominantly like just screen print embroidery, where heat printing is taking a large chunk of that work and making it so easy and quick to produce.
Yeah, and so just a quick follow-up before we get to Kelly on this high-level question. This comment came in from Isaiah and question, do you see this method becoming greater than screen printing? And so I loved how that question kind of came in when you said Duds by Dudes using it to kind of defend the screen printing. So just elaborate a little bit more on that, Dave. And when we think about will this become greater than screen printing, I think the answer would be no. But what's your perspective on it?
So yeah, I think that's a loaded question because like greater than screen printing, it depends on how you define it or what context you're going to put it in. Because is it more accessible? Are there more decorators out there right now? I mean, including home-based businesses, side hustles, hobbyists that are utilizing a heat press to decorate apparel rather than screen printing. Possibly. If you look at that, it's the tide has already kind of changed in the past few years, especially when we went through the pandemic. So many businesses started as home-based t-shirt businesses, or yeah, I want an extra. I've always wanted to own my own business, and they found heat printing and t-shirt decorating to be their business. And then so many of those, you guys could attest to going to trade shows and seeing inside shops, but talking to decorators who are like, I started this during the pandemic and I never went back to work, where they found success. So when we talk in terms of like the solution of screen printing, it's the same, direct to garment did the same thing in the early 2000s where it was like, oh, it's going to kill screen printing. And obviously it didn't. Screen printing is still strong and out there. And a lot of people say the same thing about DTF, although I feel like DTF, in the short amount of time it's been on the market, direct to film transfers, if you're new, that it's been on the market, yeah, for just a couple years, but it's already made a larger splash than I think direct to garment did in that short amount of time. It follows this same roadmap, essentially, that direct to garment did, but with a lot easier application, a lot less maintenance, consumables, and being able to order the prints ready to apply. All you need is a heat press. So right down the road, you had right down the road, actually, from my office where I am right now, Kelly, last week you had Jed on from Stakes Manufacturing, and I know that they used to be 100% direct to garment, and they've moved to a lot of direct to film for that same solution. So where heat printing kind of, we talked already about moving into the screen printing space, it's definitely moving into that same chunk of the market that's been dominated by direct to garment, of course, because of the personalization and the customization that you mentioned, Jenna. So all around, yeah, kind of it does really fit in, but it's hard to look into a glass ball to say exactly if it's going to eclipse it in a commercial decorating standpoint. And I think I agree with you, Josh, that it's always going to be hand in hand, complementary.
Excellent. Thanks for that response, and we appreciate the questions. Keep them coming in. Kelly, as you look to 2024 and the future of heat printing, what are some things that you're forecasting, predicting? What are you seeing or expecting?
So the biggest thing that I've noticed, especially out in retail, and that could be from sports to fashion, is media isn't flat anymore on garments. Yes, there's going to be standard screen print, direct to film, DTG, whatever application. They're still going to want that no feel kind of weight. However, so many people are going back into texture and dimension and really using different effects to bring a graphic to life. And it's funny because I think of like Affliction, and back in 2004 to, I don't even know, 2010 maybe, that type of brand where there might have been 3 different types of effects on a t-shirt, and then that warranted a higher cost for it, especially because of the brand. But to the whole question, if heat printing will take over screen printing, I think eventually it will. And my reason being is because you can screen print. I can do embroidery. I can do dimensional products. I can do glitter. I can do metallic. I can do all of that with a heat press. So there's going to be traditional methods that are never going to leave, and that's perfectly fine. But instead of growing a department for screen printing equipment, I think it'll grow more for heat printing. That way it can accommodate just about any type of decoration method.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think as we look into 2024, like it's not going to be the year where the retail rack gets reinvented and all of a sudden people are heat printing for their big box inventory. Like screen printing is going to be the solution there because of the volume run. Now, to Jenna's point, can we create in-store experiences with heat printing to complement that, and maybe drive higher sales and more customization and personalization that people want in their apparel? Absolutely. But where I think heat printing will really continue to be a better solution into the future than screen printing and a lot of other technology is e-commerce, right? And so I expect in 2024 that e-commerce in quantities of one will become a lot more efficient and profitable for all decorators. And part of that solution is going to be direct embroidery. Yes, part of that solution is going to be direct to garment, but I think the lion's share of the opportunity will revolve around technologies that can run through a heat press. for print on demand. So those are some early forecasts. We may get more into that, but gosh, the questions are coming in and I love them. So we want to make this episode is about your questions. So we're going to fire through as many as possible. So to our team, let's keep the answers as insightful but concise as we can to get to as many. Question from Cindy on Instagram. Will you be bringing Sport Stitch to the Impression Show in Long Beach next month? I am waiting, not very patiently, to see this product in person. So who has the inside beat on Long Beach?
I'll answer that one. So yes, you will. You'll be able to see it in multiple or viewed in multiple different markets. So if you're in sports, you'll be able to see it in the platform of sports. If you're in retail fashion, you'll be able to see it in branding. So yes, you will. And I don't blame you for not being patient.
Yeah, and this is one you have to see in person. And what's really cool about it is we build it kind of like our dimensional product offering, where you can get a sample in your client's logo as part of the upload process, so they can see it in person. So, like for $50 or less, you're getting your customer's logo in Sports Stitch. So, load up on those top customer logos. Next question. I'm going to switch it up a little bit and make Jenna answer this one instead of Dave, even though he's our screen printed transfer guru. So Jenna, do you have tips for applying goof proof screen printed transfers to hoodies? I seem to be scorching.
Yeah, I think it's like there's some hoodies out there that are hard to get around. Like I've worked with a lot of fleece that just has a very thick pile. And so whenever you are selecting a media to print those hoodies with, you want to go something that's not going to be a firm pressure. Unfortunately, with goof proof, you're going to need that firm pressure no matter what temperature you're applying it at. So even if you were to drop the temp to the 325, low temp application for goof proof, you're still going to get that box mark because of the type of fleece it is. Some fleece, for example, like the sponge fleece from Bella Canvas, I think we all can agree here on the podcast that that's always been kind of a challenge anytime we're working with firm pressure applications. So I would suggest selecting a fleece that is compatible with a firm pressure. So brands like Independent Trading Company, where that fleece isn't as soft and such of a high pile. And then another good one is Threadfast, right? So Independent Trading Company, Threadfast, Lane 7, those are three really great brands that are doing fleece very well, compatible to heat printing.
Yep. So basically, goof proof is best run at a high temperature and a firm pressure for application and durability. So pick a fleece product that's compatible. If you're dealing with a more fashionable fleece, we may have to change out the transfer and go with something a little more low temp, medium pressure. Great. Thanks, Dave. Yeah.
Could I add on to that just quickly?
Of course, I knew you
My
would.
answer wasn't good enough.
Well,
Oh,
I do
Dave.
want to say that you mentioned Lane 7, Jenna, and we just did the LS 16001 in a video over on the Transfer Express YouTube channel that just came out this week. But absolutely no issues with scorching. With a lot of, depending on you talked about different hoodies, it does depend on the manufacturer, but a lot of those now, the actual cotton face, like the hoodie I'm wearing right now, has a 100% cotton face. So they're made to be compatible with direct to garment too. So what you're seeing might not actually be a scorch, but just the moisture content difference. And also, if it is actually damaging it with the heat sensitivity, if it's a 60-40 or even maybe like a 65-35 blend, or even a poly dominant blend, yes, you're going to run into those issues and we need to lower the temperature. But then also check your pressure, because pressure could be that hidden culprit, especially on hoodies. I know I use the 11x15 platen to avoid printing over the seam of the kangaroo pocket here at the bottom. So with that reduced platen size, you do need to reduce the pressure. So that medium to firm is going to drop more into a medium pressure too. And that could help you possibly not get those scorch marks. We kind of even show that on that video that I mentioned on the Transfer Express YouTube page, because I print a left chest as the example, but I did 24 hoodies in 13 minutes. Absolutely no issues with scorching on that Lane 7 hoodie, but that was a awesome blank to use.
Awesome. And there's some feedback we shared on screen where people are having success with some Sanmar styles, no scorching in 22 years. So try sourcing a different blank if you want the authentic screen printing feel of goof proof, because that is preferred on a lot of decoration. So this is kind of a testimonial, I guess, from Magrino Mix. So we appreciate you sharing. Wanted to start screen printing in his basement, discovered heat printing 6 years ago, went all in. We love when people go all in because you didn't want the mess or the lack of real estate in your basement. So space saving, I don't think I need anything but transfers. My business has exploded in the last couple of years, and I even educate my customer about the heat printing process and what can be done. I totally see why heat printing is more appealing to screen print shops. The shifts is happening. So appreciate that feedback and congratulations on the success. You can certainly build a viable business with heat printing all alone. And in case you're listening, you're not watching, all of our folks on the screen, we're clapping on the screen on our
Sounds
video
like we have
stream
a
here.
new podcast guest.
Sounds like it. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, so here's a detailed one. Tough to explain, but I know that we've given classes on this, and making sure logos are straight is the spirit of the question. What's the best way to make sure the logo is straight, centered, etc.? Is there a tool that you can recommend? And Dave's holding it on the screen, but verbally explain what you're holding up for those listening.
So this right here is a t-shirt alignment ruler. Anytime that I do an in-person education, we give these out for free. It is just a simple, essentially ruler that shapes to a collar shape to center it. Now, there are a center line and even like a left chest, right chest, and a center line on this. What I'll do, especially with like, say, a goof-proof screen printed transfer that's on a carrier that you cannot see, even if you're using something with a clear carrier and you can... Oh, what's that question you just popped up there, Josh?
That's all right. Don't get distracted. That's the next one.
But essentially what I'll do is hold it up to the light. I have one down here, but you won't be able to see if I hold it up. And if you're listening to the podcast, you won't be able to hear it. But essentially fold it over looking through the light and give it a gentle crease at the top and bottom, which is going to give you your center line. Then if you have a guide on your collar with your t-shirt, you would align those creases right on up to the center line on this. And then you are nice and straight centered on the garment. I always refer back to even my old screen printing days. If you're not loading the shirt centered on the platen, you aren't going to be getting centered prints. So a lot of it does come down to consistently loading your platen and your heat press for the best results. But we have a lot of education we go through, and literally a 3-hour workshop that I could talk about sizing and transfer placement and print placement in general. So in the spirit of brevity, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, and so I think that the tip is come out to a impressions show or one of the trade shows we're at, attend the class, and you can pick up a lot of tips, or you can just look out for the new ProPlace IQ, and it'll just project the image onto the shirt, nice and centered on the platen, and you just match the logo to the light. All right, so we got some feedback coming in, so appreciate the positive words. 206 Fresh City coming in, watching us from YouTube. Also appreciate the business from Rick. I've been using Transfer Express exclusively for 22 years. That's awesome. It's about as long as I've been here.
Nice.
I think I started, you started using Transfer Express when I started at Stahl, so that's cool to see, which seems like forever ago. And then there's another question about when will goof proof, or basically I think the question is when will a screen printed transfer come on a clear carrier? So that's a pretty big prediction into the future, Tim. We appreciate the feedback and the future of heat printing in 2024. I think it's safe to say in 2024, screen printed transfers and more transfer types will come on a clear carrier, so you can line them up easier with the new projection systems that we've invented and come out with. So early 2024, I would say as well, Tim. So stay tuned on that one. All right. Keep the questions coming in, guys. Again, we are broadcasting live. This is our last episode of the year, right, Kelly?
It is. Yep.
Yep. And then a little break. And then when we go back live on air for our, we've been renewed for the 2024 season of the podcast.
We've been renewed. Yes, we've been renewed. And I believe it's the 12th, January 12th.
All right. Awesome. So I guess, Kelly, when you look back at 2023, as we have some more questions starting to gather here, like what was one of your favorite guests and episodes? Because you've been hosting the podcast, I'd say the majority of the time. I know we've had a ton of great guests. It'll be tough to pick one, but something that just stands out top of mind that people should go back and listen to or watch if they haven't.
That's really difficult to answer.
It's okay if you want to say me,
Jenna. Let me just give some perspective on this. There are 52 weeks in a year, and I think I started doing this in February or March, or that's when I took it over. And I think I've only missed maybe like 4 weeks. So out of 40 podcasts. I have to choose one.
Yeah,
I don't think I
just
can.
like
I don't think
top
I
of the
can do
list.
that.
Like we could call it a playlist. All 40 were great, we know that. But I am going to make you like point people to one where they can pick up some tip that you think would be helpful.
So I think one of my favorites was actually Jed. And the reason being is we talked about inclusivity and really with a focus on people with disabilities. And with there being such an issue on finding the right staff or finding somebody to hire to bring into your business, he had so much to say in terms of resources, positivity in the business, overall incredible effects on the community within his business. And then just being able to really provide an experience for somebody that maybe has been denied in the past, but it's because they haven't really been connected with the right job. And where we're at when people are like, I can't find anybody to hire and I need to hire somebody, there's an entire platform or community that is ready and willing to work. And like he was saying, some of his most efficient and best employees are actually those with disabilities. So I think that was just huge to give more of like our entire print world just kind of an eye opener to there's really other resources out there than just like LinkedIn or any other job platform or somebody you know. So that might have been one of my favorites. It was one of the most recent, but that was a really good conversation.
Excellent. I think that was that last week?
I was going to say yes. It's either Jenna was last week or Jed was last week.
Okay, yeah. So recently, so scroll back through the podcast. If you're listening to this one of the last couple episodes, you'll see Jed was the guest, and a great listen there. So thanks for that feedback. So I know that the four of us have been prepping for education in 2024. It's a big part of what we do, not only virtually here, but in person. And one of the big events that we loved, it's been a part of the last 2 years, I think, of our education, is Stahl's Pro Day. And Stahl's Pro Day is really, I'd say, our all-out effort to take an apparel decorator in a 3-hour session and say, here's how you can lift your business and get to the next level, whether that's from part-time to full-time, or doing, maybe only in a couple products and solutions and markets today and expanding that. And so like, I'm super excited for 2024 Pro Day. The first one will be at Impressions Long Beach. I believe we'll be doing it in Impressions Atlantic City in March, Atlantic City, New Jersey, and then also most likely in Fort Worth sometime in September, October. That's a fall show. What are some of the samples that you guys have seen, or little nuggets that coming into Pro Day that maybe, like, not stealing all the thunder, but we can share on air that people should be thinking about as they're putting together their plans for 2024 and scaling their business?
Such a loaded question.
That's a big one. So I leave them wide open so you can just share feedback. Like I can start with what I'm excited about, if that's helpful. So like when I look at everything we've come up with Pro Day, we've really approached this year into, I think, 3 different market segments, or 4, potentially 4, but I believe it's 3 different market segments. And to me, what that says there is, as a business, you need to think about diversification. Be very clear about who your audience is, and you'll see that we've created these looks all with heat printing technology, some really awesome looks specific to the market segment. So we do a lot of how-to videos. Those are some of our most watched videos that are out there. But from a sales and marketing side, having a clear definition of the audience that you want to go out and reach. And in this particular Pro Day, we're going to show that for schools, for corporate, and then also for fashion, which fashion can be a market of itself, or fashion can be applied to any other market with just elevating the look. So I'm excited to kind of stretch the products into some of these markets.
Yeah, I'm excited for like discussing market expansion, because I feel like heat printing, because of the diversity of it, it can expand into so many new areas of different markets. And whenever I think of that, like collaboration comes to mind, because whenever you're working with a lot of like local businesses, or maybe even local like internet personality. I don't want to say influencers anymore. So people that have a personality on the internet, have a lot of followers, they like selling merch. So I think like that is what I'm super excited to talk about, because there's just so much opportunity and little niches in certain markets that a lot of people like just aren't thinking of because they have a lot going on. So being able to showcase some of that here is what I'm most excited for.
Great. Anything you guys want to add, Kelly or Dave?
Yeah, I'll add before Dave is the fact that the very first question was kind of about where heat printing is going for 2024 and whether or not screen printing would, if heat printing would take over screen printing. Well, in Pro Day, we show a variety of different types of materials. We'll show DTF, screen printing, patches and emblems, vinyl. So that's what I'm most excited about, is that it takes one unit, maybe two, but at the end of the day, it's the heat press and then versatility of the transfers.
Yeah, and this goes along with what you're saying. Like we'll be focused on the heat press in a room, and you can make real legitimate income. So Magrino makes another comment, says, my wife and I just surpassed 6 figures in 1 year with one heat press and a vinyl cutter. Supposed to be a little side cash, has changed our lives. And that's why we have people, including myself, that want to work at Stalls for 20 years because of stories like that and impact like that. So we love hearing that feedback and the success.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about Pro Day. That's my favorite thing since we started doing the presentation, whether it be related to a trade show or not. Yes, product is mentioned and how-tos are mentioned, but it's so focused through the lens of how you could improve your business and take it to the next level. And then, coming back the next year and talking to decorators who are at it and like, hey, I tried this out and it worked and I was able to land this client, or hey, since the last time you saw me, I quit my full-time job and I'm doing decorating and it's going great. And like, that is that is so awesome to hear. And I love those stories, and yeah, keep sharing them here too, because it's great.
Never gets old. Never gets old. So we have a question. We want to make sure we get to the question. So there's a very specific question. So let's take it. Should I use bottom heat when applying Ultracolor Max on hats with the 360 IQ? Who wants to take that one? Dave's already shaking his head no, but I don't think that doesn't mean he wants the question. It means he has the answer.
Yes. I've done a lot of Ultracolor Max on foam front trucker hats, and I do not use the top heat. However, I will say,
Check that. You don't use the bottom heat.
I don't use bottom heat. Sorry. Yes. Don't use the bottom heat.
I
use
got scared.
top only heat. Can you turn the top off on a 360? I know you could turn the bottom off, but I don't think you could turn the top off. But yes, I only use top heat on that for the foam front trucker hats. Same with goof proof. Just the only thing is that you need to ensure that you're providing adequate amount of pressure on it. And no foam cover pad or anything on that. When you're printing, you could go straight heating element to the transfer itself. I will say, for a little bit more structured, kind of the high crown or high profile caps, sometimes that lower heat does help mold that so that you don't have that gap where then you're having a little bit of bounce and possibly that crease from the pressure, and you're able to mold it to the press and that lower platen a lot better. But every single time I've done it, I do not use a lower heat.
Great. Thank you. Some other questions coming in, I believe. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll through these. It's been a while. So some feedback, actually. Darren says tag along platen does help with centering. So back to that question from earlier. And he's looking forward to getting the Pro Place IQ. We're looking forward to shipping a lot of them. We have quite the pre-order list, so you'll hear more about that coming into the new year. Question from Cindy. Actually, comment from Cindy. So excited for Pro Day. I will be there. We love that.
Yay.
We love it when names on the screen become real people in person with smiles and handshakes. Yeah. And then more feedback on just their experience. So Rick says he enjoys the quick product shipping that Transfer Express does without even asking. Just this week, I ordered 24 Ultracolor Max direct-to-film transfers on Tuesday and got them on Thursday. Able to meet my client's deadline for their Christmas party. Please keep your turnaround times this way. Always pass the freight charges on. Yeah, so we definitely, of course, we never will compromise quality, but we're definitely aiming for faster, more speed. Because we've seen like direct-to-film transfers have been pretty big on the scene, but direct-to-film printers inside of shops have been pretty big on the scene as well. And we're trying to make it extremely easy for you to access the transfers, so we can innovate and just ship them to you, and you don't have to have that equipment and printer maintenance and some of the challenges that are associated with where the technology is today, including, honestly, like air quality, safety risks on some of the devices we're seeing coming into the market. So we love making the transfers and shipping them quick. We're going to have time for another question or two, because I know a couple of us have to bounce to the next meeting, unfortunately, planning 2024. So Billy from IG asks, along the lines of bottom heat with the power platen, I wasn't finding any directions for goof proof with the power platen. Any tips? So I think generally we haven't approved goof proof as a usable product with the power platen. And that's just kind of going back to what Jenna mentioned earlier on the fleece issue. It requires a lot of pressure. And sometimes that pressure is tough to achieve on that lower density surface like a power platen. And so in that case, we would probably recommend you look at another transfer type to use with that power platen, whether that's the emblems and patches or more traditional transfer like Ultracolor Max would be compatible with that power platen. All right, let's go around the horn one time for parting thoughts. I'm not going to let you guys get off the hook that easy, but we appreciate all the questions. So, like, what's one of the top questions you have or things you hope to discover when you look into 24? Maybe something that you don't have the answer to that you want to learn, either about the industry, our customers, or the space that we try to be successful in. You guys love these off the cuff, big thinking questions, huh? Kelly? Or good, Dave, you savor.
I was just going to say, I'm always about efficiency, about automation. I have just personally started using AI a ton, from graphic creation to being able to support with like a chat GPT. And then I always use them as this catalyst. They're a great idea starter that I can mold. But I feel like I still am more of an expert than the robots are. For now. But that automation, that efficiency, I feel like I'm blown away from the shop visits that we do to talking with decorators at shows, or just in the community here on Facebook or Instagram, social media in general. So I'm really looking forward to that advancement in ways that we can make things easier and more efficient, so that, I mean, time is money in any industry, and ours is no exception. So I want to empower decorators, and I want to hear and share how decorators are using these tools, these techniques, to really make a difference for themselves and the industry as a whole. And that is just like, it's super exciting to me.
Great. Kelly or Jenna?
I'll go. Okay. So mine is really understanding the process of elimination. So getting more customer experience, like Dave just said, getting more of those examples of somebody taking something and how it's transformed their business. I want to really connect that more with the process of elimination, on somebody making the jump to a better piece of equipment or more equipment, or why one transfer makes more sense, or if they're afraid of a price point, getting them to understand the profit potential of that. And I think that's just really connecting and looking for more stories out there.
Great. Jenna?
Yeah, for me, it's going to be like technology advancements, right? So, and that could be in heat transfer space, it could be in apparel space, and then also e-commerce space. I feel like with the Amazon Prime mentality that a lot of customers have these days, print on demand is going to continue to be at the forefront, and a major need for a lot of print shops. So really understanding where that's going to be headed in the new year, and advancements that we'll see, like Fulfill Engine or Brickle or Chipley, what they're doing to stay ahead, and help customers be able to turn out jobs quick like that. So just really understanding from a customer perspective, like what they're going to be implementing in their businesses to be able to meet those needs that their clients have.
Great feedback, guys. Well, thanks for sharing that. I'm certainly excited for 2024. This is one of my favorite times of the year, not only because of the holidays, but I'm big on business planning and thinking, and the new year always gives a chance, like whether it's for business or for personal, to do a reset, evaluate those goals that you set last year. Hopefully you've kept them in front of you. If you're like me, you probably lost sight of them about 3 months in the year, but I'm the eternal optimist. So I will make new goals and I will try to hold on to them and stick to them and accomplish those. So that's what I'm excited to learn, is what are the goals that apparel decorators are setting? What are their priorities for 2024? That's one of my favorite questions to ask. And this is really the best time to think about that. And for us at Stalls to ask that and understand better. So if you have goals that you're setting out to achieve in 2024 and you're watching this live, regardless of where we're broadcasting live, drop some of those goals in the comment section for us so we can share and other decorators can learn from those goals. Lots of feedback, some coming in late. The good news, this is recorded. You may be listening to the recording. It's a podcast. We ran it all year. So go back through, pick up all those little nuggets, and know that we are very thankful for you as we come off another one of the most successful years that Stalls and Stalls Transfer Express has ever had. And that's all because of you guys as customers and just adopting the products and believing in what can that can do for your business. So with that, we're signing off. Thanks so much and have a great holiday season. We'll see you in
Happy
20.
Bye, guys.
holidays.